Hello, all. This is Neil McGurk, Division Disaster Director for Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And today is April 15th, and I'm going to be discussing the weather situation that faces the state of Texas over the. This graphic represents the forecasted rainfall that is expected to occur over the United States within the next 7 days. Now, within the state of Texas, you can see we have a significant amount of rainfall that is also in the forecast over a wide area. Now, this rainfall is expected to occur between Friday and Monday, so over the weekend. And so we have significant amount of rainfall that's occurring up in North Texas through portions of the Central and South Texas region, and then in the upper portions of the Texas Gulf Coast region. And now of concern is two main risks here. We have the risk for flash flooding. So anytime when you have a significant amount of rainfall occurring over one area, we do have the risk for flash flooding. We also have the risk for river flooding. Now, our rivers within the state of Texas right now are nearly all at normal levels. However, due to extended rains over the past year, reservoirs within the state the majority of them are at or near capacity. So the ability for those reservoirs to accept excess runoff and hold them before having to release them over dams or things like that is somewhat limited. So what we have the potential to see is if we have an excess amount of rainfall over one area and it flows into a reservoir, those reservoirs are going to have to release that water downstream, which could lead to river flooding. So again, the forecast has widespread rainfall over a large portion of the state. Can't exactly give you where we're concerned for flooding, what river over another river. We just have to be prepared in each region for the potential that we could be facing a significant threat, and we could have to scale up a large relief operation as a result of this rainfall. Now, in addition to the rainfall, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, we also have the risk for severe weather. Now, this risk is primarily from straight line winds, large hail, but there is, on each of those days, an isolated tornado risk as well. So in addition to the potential for flooding rainfall, we also have to be prepared for severe weather events and the potential for tornadoes. So as we head into this weekend with this severe weather and flooding threat, I wanted to share some key items to remember. The first being is that as we scale up and deal with a large event, we need to be focusing on sheltering and feeding. So again, there's a lot of different activities that we have to undertake during a relief operation, but in order to start out and get out of the gate for that relief operation, we need to make sure that people have a safe place to stay and they have something to eat. So those are our priorities. Everything else, our casework, things like that can come later, but we have to get out of the gate quickly on sheltering and feeding. This is also why it's important that if you are in an area that is at risk, you know who you're going to call at 2 a.m. if you do have to open up a shelter. So don't wait until 2 a.m. to start calling down a large list of people to see if someone's ready. Put shelter teams on standby in advance. Put your feeding teams. Have those conversations now so that you have a plan going into this weekend so you're not trying to rush at the last minute and trying to struggle to find workers to open that shelter. The next is the importance of conducting a proactive impact assessment and then sharing that information. I'll tell you, this is one of the challenges that we've had on past operations is that when we talk about disaster assessment, we tend to think that disaster assessment is just about going out and counting how many homes have major damage, destroyed damage, but disaster assessment is more about a comprehensive picture of the overall event. And within conducting an impact assessment, the goal there is to conduct and gather information that tells you how the community's been impacted. So it's more than just the number of homes that have been impacted. It's about the status of infrastructure, roads that are closed, a general idea of the demographics of the people that have been impacted. That information allows you and your team and your leaders to be able to make appropriate decisions about where to open up shelters, how many shelters are going to be opened up. It's not just a component of casework. So again, we need to be thinking more than just counting homes, and we need to be taking a proactive approach to gathering impact information. And you can even do this before the rainfall starts occurring. So this could be gathering information about what is the status of the reservoirs within your area. Do your reservoirs have the ability to accept excess runoff, or are they going to have to open up floodgates, which could lead to potential flooding downriver? Know your vulnerable populations. Where do your vulnerable populations live along the river, and what are some past circumstances where they've had to evacuate. So again, your impact assessment is vitally important for telling you exactly what could happen and what is happening to the community as a whole. So really focus on that, especially early on in the operation, because that will help give you information that will help you know how many shelters you're going to have to open up, where you're going to have to scale up, who needs services. I strongly encourage you also, that was included in the email that this presentation was sent out in, to view the other YouTube video about using Twitter to gain situational awareness. Now, you always have to view social media through a critical lens, so you can't believe everything you read on social media, but it can help guide you in the direction of where to go and gather more information. So as you focus on this, focus on using the resources that you have available, social media, the news, emergency management, but take a proactive approach. Don't just wait for emergency management, the EOC, to call and share information with you. Gather information, and if you have a question, if you're seeing information of potential impacts in the community, proactively reach out to emergency management to try to confirm that information, see what the impacts are. Again, the key word here is being proactive. Don't wait for someone else to give you information. Go out and find that information and then share that information up with your team members, with your leaders, up your chain with emergency management. That will help you get a better picture of how the community is being impacted and how Red Cross can step in and help provide and alleviate some of that suffering. You also need to be prepared to strongly incorporate event-based workers and partners into the overall response. Now, we should be doing this on every response, but right now it's even more important. We've had a significant number of relief operations ongoing within the state and across the South. And so our workforce within the state and across the national organization are tired. So while we do have the ability to send in additional workers to help support an operation, we really need to be leveraging our event-based workers and our partners. So now is the opportunity and now is the time to talk with those partners. Tell them that, hey, we have a severe weather event going on. We may need to be calling you over the weekend. Use this as an opportunity to engage with volunteer services. Talk about your event-based volunteer plan and how you're going to enact it on Sunday or Monday or whenever the event happens in your area. And then finally, and again, as I mentioned here with the importance of a proactive impact assessment, the importance of being proactive with coordination with emergency management is also key. Again, we need to avoid being in a reactive statement. So if we know there's impacts occurring, we don't need to say, well, emergency management will call us when they need us. We need to proactively reach out, talk and engage with emergency management so that we can be ahead of the curve when it comes to meeting needs. Again, we all know this, if a disaster happens and we get behind the 8 ball, it takes a significant amount of effort to get back ahead of the curve. But by being proactive with emergency management, being proactive with event-based workers and planning for that, and being proactive in gathering impact assessment information and putting your shelter workers on standby, we can ensure that if a disaster happens, we can be ahead of the curve and we aren't playing catch up in the following days. So again, these are just some key items to remember as we head into this weekend with this active weather event. Hopefully, we will not have to scale up an operation, but if we do, we want to make sure that we have all the pieces in place so that operation can be successful and we can effectively meet community needs. So again, thank you all for taking the time to watch this quick briefing, and I encourage you again to watch the other video that was included in this email about using Twitter to gain situational awareness. Thank you all very much.